I think part of the appeal of Big Big Train is the complexity and different levels in the music. In fact, the first time I saw them at King's Place, I was astonished at how big a part the violin played in the music. And I wasn't sure whether that was because the arrangements had been rewritten for the live performance or whether that had always been the case and I had just assumed it was keyboards or something.
I don't care about the technicality. Honestly, I don't. I really care more about the content of the music, melody. I'm very interested in melody. I'm very interested in lyrics. I love lyrics that tell a story. I think the song that hooked me really from English Electric was Judas Unrepentant. And I thought that was so unique and so well done. And it brought me into the song so much that I knew the band was for me.
But the song that really sort of got me was Swan Hunter, basically because of where I lived at the time. I lived in Newcastle. I used to drive past the Swan Hunter yard on my way to work, going around various establishments in the northeast. So that song really resonated with me.
If I had to pick an album, I would have to say it would be the Underfall Yard, which was, for me, having been into the band before the Longden era, it really proved to be a step up for me in their development, and the music from that album just really resonated with me. This is going to sound strange coming from a Scot, but I think what I like about Big Big Train is the quintessential Englishness of their music. It's like, it reminds me of stories from Boys Own comics and Commando comics when I was a kid.
I think it has to be Swan Hunter really for the family connection, because my granddad worked at Swans. I think he started work around about the time the Mauritania was built, which was 1906, I think it was launched.
There's a lot about, especially around the English Electric era, that touches on, I think there's an awful lot of people in this country have got can relate to it in some ways. You know, my father was a steel worker. That's the area where I still live. But on a Sunday, we'd take the dog, we'd go walking around a large country park that's around where I live. So the song Hedgerow, there's a lot of connotations with things that may not replicate exactly in the song, but you can relate to them in some way, shape or form. And it goes back to what I was saying, as I said, about what makes a great song. It reaches inside and touches you in some way. Big Big Train have done quite a lot of that. They humanise some of the stuff. You know, driving steam trains was dirty, smelly, dangerous. Yeah. You know, East Coast Racer, the way it does it, and the melody of it, that slow build of the train, it almost romanticises it all. And it makes it something real and tangible. What?
East Coast Racer. Just hearing that live for the first time on the crescendo at the end, and that's just awesome.
And I've got to say, I absolutely love East Coast Racer. If you'd seen me up on the balcony on Wednesday night, I was in absolute bits. I never ever thought I could get emotional about a song about a locomotive and the men who made it. I mean, that is just remarkable.
I've been to see many bands, and you listen to them and you walk away and you go, I could have just put the CD on, right? It was just perfect. They're not the same as the CD when you see them live, but the emotion is so strong, and there are so many different songs that like I said, they hit you here, right here, and you can feel that. the hairs on the back of your neck rise, and you just get absolutely just swept along with the emotion. And to be in a concert hall like Codere and another one tonight is slightly smaller. Sound that doesn't go in your ears, it actually goes here. And it builds, and it builds. And when he says she flies, there's normally a lot of grit in the air, let's just put it that way. I saw Codere, there was men going, oh yes, it's very, yeah, the air conditioning's terrible here, isn't it? Oh.
That was lovely. I think that's what I like about their music, is that it's the background behind it as well. It's not superficial, there's so much more to it.
Well, I think their music has this inherent quality of beauty, which I haven't heard in any other band for a very, very long time. The way they kind of portray our countryside, it's very, very emotional for me to hear the kind of way they kind of perceive the British countryside pastorally, industrially, the way they do in music. And they're doing it with such love, so lovingly, with such care and with such emotion. And I think this beauty it just shines through everything they do.
The landscape is a big part of what being brought up and living in this country is. So, but I think they evoke that in a way that, I mean, I can't think of any other bands that do it in the same way, with the same musicality. You know,
Yeah.
you feel so emotional about it. But I think a lot of it is because it just captures essences of things that are lost. You know, and how the country has evolved, how the landscape's evolved. So
they have certainly got a flavour that is identifiable, but they're not using it as a jacket to confine them in.
I think what Big Train do is they capture elements of that, but with so much more. You know, there's such a great palette of.
You know, the thing with progressive rock is, I mean, the Florentines a great example. You can make what sounds easy on the ear is actually really difficult to play, and it's not difficult to play just because some of the chords are odd. It's difficult because you're sitting there counting a lot of the time. You know, you've got some weird time signatures in there, and it's broken up a lot. And the job for us is to make that sound entirely natural. And if you'd have heard us in the first couple of days of rehearsal, you'd have understood that we were not succeeding at making it sound natural. But by the time we got to the shows, I think we got into the flow of it. And we've got seriously one of the greatest drummers in the world who can make these things groove. And what's happened with East Coast Racer over the years is that it just gets groovier and groovier because Nick just completely relaxes into it. But you know, David brings his own theatricality to this. You know, it's something that he's looking back more to, you know, plays and theatre, I think, than trying to convey anything from the 70s. And so he really takes on those characters when he adopts them. I'm sounding really pretentious here, but that's how it is for him. It's a part of the show, and you know, we're at the end of the day, we're there. It's a show. You know, we're there to entertain people, and we're trying to give people memories to take away. That's what our aim is, where people can get lost in the music. And if getting lost in the music means that it gets them to their feet because they want to dance to Wassail or whatever, or if they want to go into, you know, a reverie for something else, then I think a seated arena or seated venue is the most likely to succeed in that, in my opinion.
One of my standout moments from the live gigs that I've seen, I think it was the first night of the King's Place gig. The King's Place gigs, and they got through the first couple of numbers, and it was well received, and everybody was having a great time. Then they did Judas Unrepentant, and this tour de force of music just came out, and then they hit the last note, and every single person in that audience rose to their feet and cheered, and David Longdon at the front and centre of the stage visibly took a step back. He was so amazed by that wall of sound that was coming back at them at the end of that song.
Thank you. That's great. Loved it. Okay, we'd like to thank you. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here tonight because we decided we'd play live because you bought the albums and you bought the tickets. We couldn't be here without you. So from the band to you, the fans, this is our time with you, your time with us. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it and we're very grateful. Thank you.
That was the point that they realised. I think we have something.
We've got something.
You know? I think we have something.
Yeah.
And then we went to Cadogan and we saw Big Big Train, and we both sort of went. It was just an amazing concert. We met some amazing people, and they said, "Oh, just wait until after. You can meet the group." And we kind of went, "Okay," because that wasn't something that we were used to doing. And so we did. We hung around, and the group came out. And we met them, and like I said, it had a huge effect on us, and afterwards we decided to message David and say to him how much his music had helped both of us, and he messaged us back, and we were like, this is
amazed by that.
Very different. This is something we're not used to. And then a few weeks later we went to see Marillion at the Albert Hall, and just in front of us was David. And he turned round and he recognised us.
And said hello.
And he went,
asked
"Are you
how we were getting
okay?"
on. Yeah.
And that, I cannot even put into words how much that meant.
It's not just, although the music is quintessentially English, the fan base is worldwide. And people come from all over the world to see this band. I mean, don't get me wrong, they love it that you buy the music, but they have a genuine interest in you as a person as well. And I think that's quite rare.
I mean, there's this tendency for paid meet and greets, which we don't like, and we've got no intention of ever doing. I think if you have fans that are, coming to shows and paying money for tickets and merchandise, I think there's an obligation to just say hi, really. So whenever we play a show, we'll always go out afterwards and mingle a bit. The audience wants us to do well, and they want us to carry on making music. So it's like it becomes a partnership, and I think that it's really hard to make a living as a musician in this day and age. You've got streaming and other things that are eroding the income of the musicians. And the people they know it's tough, and they want to help, and that partnership is forged in steel, and we've become bonded together and very close, I think. And, we're not, as I say, we're not really here to do anything other than play to and get our songs heard by as many people as will enjoy them. I'm quite a shy person, but you meet a few people out on tour and you connect with them, and that's been nice. And it's nice if you can develop that relationship online initially. A friendship starts to form in real life as opposed to, which began in the virtual world. And I've got many, actually mainly in Italy, many friends now who have become good friends through that process.
We found out about King's Place, and we booked just for the Saturday. We had our first prog curry. The atmosphere was just incredible. I've never felt anything like it before or since. So when the Cadogan Hall gigs were announced, the first thing we did was we made sure that we went to more than one. This time, we're doing the whole tour. We're starting in Edinburgh and working our way down to London, and it's our holiday this year.
That's one thing about going to a Big Train concert, yeah? You're never going to be disappointed. Yeah. You will get what you're expecting.
It's a celebration of what they do.
Yeah, you get 100% from all of them.
It isn't just a live performance, it's a celebration of what they do. Yeah, it comes over as more than anything.
I had never been to a concert before where you go into an auditorium and you sit down and you sit next to somebody who's a complete stranger, and they take the time out to stop and chat to you. And we've made so many friends at these concerts. It's been amazing.
The Birmingham concert, well, that was quite a night, wasn't it, really? I mean, Birmingham was a bit of it was our wedding anniversary that day. Martin and I celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary, and Greg and Robin were actually among the guests at our wedding, so it's very, very special. The 2 of our wedding guests were actually on stage entertaining us that night.
But the town hall was great. I mean, it's just such a lovely building, and it's got that sort of Roman look to it, that classical thing. So it's kind of perfect for us. And I remember when we all rocked up, because none of the rest of the band, apart from perhaps David, had seen the town hall before. So when they rocked up outside, I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool place. And when you go in, you've got that same thing. It's one of those venues that is just like, when you're on stage, it feels great to be in that room. It's not acoustically the easiest of gigs to play because it's a big rectangular box. So it's a challenge for the sound guys, but it is on stage, it's great. And of course I had lots of family and friends there, so that was pretty cool.
Until at long last your plane emerges from out of the low cloud, inverted, flying upside down, too close to the ground to recover. Heading up, bound, no engine sound, black smoke trailing, silently falling down. Brave captain of the sky.
Town Hall, which is a lovely big venue, and just I remember standing on stage just looking up at this big high roof thinking, I can't believe that I'm here, you know.